Good afternoon. Welcome back to Passionate World Radio Network, LLC. PWTRN is a wholly owned subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Our motto is educate, enlighten, and entertain. And the reason why you cannot see one of our hosts, Lisa Skinner, is because her camera is on strike along with the actors. So on this section of Lest We Forget -historical, we are going to talk about the war between Israel and Hamas, which is a big difference between Israel and the Palestinians. So please make note. So good afternoon, and we'll begin with Lisa Skinner. Good afternoon, Lisa.
Hi, Lillian. Hi, everybody. I'm so sorry that my camera is not working today, but I am here with you, and I am going to give a brief update, and this is as recent as yesterday, about what's going on in Israel. And as we know, thousands of people have died and thousands more were injured after the militant group Hamas launched an unprecedented surprise attack on Israel on October 7th. And Israel retaliated with a bombing campaign and total siege of the neighboring Gaza Strip, leaving the region on the verge of an all-out war. So for those of you who have been on the moon for the past week, that's the update of our conversation today. At least 1,400 people have died and 4,629 others have been injured in Israel, according to the Israeli authorities. Another 3,785 people have died and 12,500 have been wounded in Hamas-ruled Gaza, according to the Ministry of Health in Gaza. Aid workers and officials fear that Israel's call for an evacuation of the northern part of Gaza is precipitating a humanitarian disaster, as electricity and other supplies have been cut off in preparation for what appears to be an imminent ground offensive. This is the most recent update. Humanitarian groups have urged Israel to call off the evacuation and agree to a ceasefire, even as the country has asserted a right to defend itself, a right that the United States is endorsing. Currently, there are about 100 people whose whereabouts remain unknown, according to Nahum. Various experts, government agencies, and volunteers have joined forces in an effort to locate them. Sadly, a grandmother and her 12-year-old autistic granddaughter was found deceased yesterday right on the other side of the Gaza Strip. That was as of the news last night. They were included in those missing who had been taken hostage by Hamas. The team is using an array of methods and technologies, from creating algorithms to matching photos of the missing with videos taken by Hamas. We combine them, or they combine them in one space, and together they're actually able to identify hundreds of people and what their status is. Aid convoys are still waiting to enter Gaza from Egypt. More than 200 trucks and over 4,000 tons of supplies are now stockpiled at the Egypt-Gaza border, according to an Egyptian official. But the Egyptian-controlled Rafah border crossing remains closed. The aid convoys will be allowed to start entering war-torn Gaza in the next day or so, according to Jens Larkey, spokesperson for the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. During a press briefing in Tel Aviv, Israel Defense Forces spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Richard Hecht could not say when aid would be allowed to enter Gaza from Egypt, but he did confirm that an agreement had not yet been reached and the border crossing was not open. It's not money that people in the Gaza Strip need right now. Rather, it's food, water, medicine, and other basic necessities, according to a humanitarian worker there. If we have money, we can't buy anything anyway. There's nothing to buy in the stores. They are empty. As Israel forces continue to bomb terror targets in Gaza in retaliation for the October 7th attack carried out by the Hamas militant group that governs the territory, an estimated 1 million people are displaced there, including over 520,000 people staying in emergency shelters in increasingly dire conditions. This is why it's crucial that Egypt allows humanitarian aid convoys that are currently parked at the northwestern border with Gaza to be able to cross into the war-torn territory and deliver these life-saving supplies as soon as possible. But as of Friday afternoon, today, the Egyptian-controlled Rafah border crossing still remains closed. He added, people are just waiting. The office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reacted to US President Joe Biden's rare address to Americans, which aired last night. He says, we appreciate President Biden's support and the strong bipartisan support in America. Netanyahu's office told ABC News in a statement on Friday when asked for comment. Biden's speech emphasized the need for both global and U.S. national security to assist Israel and Ukraine in their respective conflicts, which he said threatens broader disruptions in the Middle East and Europe. I don't know how many of you saw the president's address on the news last night, but I was watching it, and he said something that I found startling and eye-opening. He said, "Here we go again." And what he was referring to was the Holocaust and comparing the attack on Israel. And what he meant by "here we go again" is, here we go again attacking Jewish people. And it's so true. And it just absolutely breaks my heart. And I really don't understand why, in all the years throughout our history, for thousands of years, the Jewish culture continues to be persecuted and attacked. And now we've just seen it again. And they didn't go after any military people. They went after mothers and fathers and babies and children for whatever reason we have yet to understand. But I just wanted to kind of acknowledge that I agree with what President Biden said last night in terms of here we go again. Is this ever going to stop? So the other thing that Biden committed was $105 billion in foreign aid package, which includes $14 billion for Israel. So right now, the White House is preparing a sweeping $105 billion in foreign aid that includes $60 billion in assistance for Ukraine and $14 billion for Israel. And during President Joe Biden's Thursday address to the nation, he stressed success in Ukraine and Israel is absolutely vital to the US. And this is why he is pledging the help, because the two wars that are currently going on will have an everlasting impact on everybody, including us. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs estimates about 1 million people in Gaza are displaced, again, including over 520,000 people who are staying in emergency shelters. At least 30% of all housing units in the Gaza Strip have either been destroyed, rendered uninhabitable, or moderately to lightly damaged. One last final note, and this piggybacks on what I said about President Biden saying, here we go again. President Joe Biden addressed the rise in reports of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia following the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel and the subsequent retaliation. He cited Jewish students being targeted in schools and the stabbing death over the weekend of a 6-year-old Muslim American boy in Illinois. So it's already spilling over to our country. Israel has launched mass airstrikes on Gaza, which is now ruled by Hamas since then, and is widely expected to launch a ground invasion. Thousands of Palestinians have already been killed. The objectives of the campaign include destroying Hamas's military and governing capabilities, as well as the complete removal of Israeli responsibility for the Gaza Strip. This is going to take place and be accomplished in 3 stages, the defense minister has told us. We are now in the first stage, which is a military campaign that currently includes strikes and will later include maneuvering with the objective of neutralizing terrorists and destroying Hamas infrastructure. The second phase will involve operations at a lower intensity with the objective of eliminating pockets of resistance, he said. The final stage will require the removal of Israelis responsible parties. And that is the update, the most accurate and updated information pertaining to what's happening as we speak in Israel right now. Lillian?
Yes. So, Betsy, how would you react to this?
Well, I have a lot to say. I saw President Biden on Air Force One, and they're talking about the missile that everyone blamed Israel for, and the world was ready to hop on the anti-Israel and spew their anti-Semitic stuff, which they have done. Talking about learn how to shoot straight forward. Was this guy nuts? People have to realize the Jews have been fighting for their land since way back when. And we could blame Abraham because it all started with him going into Hagar instead of waiting for Sarah to give birth. But as ironic as it is, Muslims and Jews are really related. They're related through Abraham. And yet there's the hate on both sides. You have radical on both sides. But people have to understand that Hamas charter, their goal, not only to destroy Israel and every Jew in Israel, but around the world. They were also shouting death to America. We need to wake up. People are being very vigilant. I saw a clip of a woman who's telling her children walking to the synagogue how to be in a active shooter situation. You say anti-Semitism. Lisa mentioned anti-Semitism. Haven't we seen that in the past week? A professor, Russell Rockford at Cornell, October 15th, said he found those attacks exhilarating. This is allowed on a campus? What are they teaching these young people? These are our future leaders. But then he did apologize on the 18th, but the words that come out, that you can't take them back. You have seen anti-Israel protests all over. A German official even said this past week, do not wear anything showing your face. It is not safe. Wow, what does that remind you of? Nazi Germany all over again. There are Jewish students in colleges that are afraid to say that they are Jewish for fear of being attacked. You have people in the government siding very blatantly with the Palestinians. Now, not all Palestinians are Hamas, but the truth is Hamas controls it. They control what is going on. There was aid that was delivered, I believe, in Gaza. Who took it? Hamas did. And this aid that they want to bring over, I can guarantee you Hamas is going to get it. And President Biden said this week that, he wants Israel to be responsible for Gaza getting it and not Hamas getting it. Well, how are they going to do that? It doesn't even make any sense to me. Israel is in a state of war for their lives, literally. And they didn't attack military people. They attacked people at a music festival. Innocent people who had nothing to do with it. Now, what was surprising is that Israel didn't respond right away. That's so shocking about it. Usually they would know immediately. And to kill innocent children, grandmothers, mothers, raping. I listened to the Israel Defense Ministry, Israel Defense Facebook page, and also a guy from Israel. They found a woman who was cut open and her fetus was hanging out and she was shot in the back of the head. These people are not even animals, because that would be a compliment. They are savages. They are barbaric in their behavior. They film. Think how sick. They film what they're doing and to show it to the relatives. Now that is just pure sick to me. Israelis, they film what they're doing because they are held accountable for their actions. They don't want soldiers to do things that are not correct, not proper to their rules and regulations. And I am personally very pro-Israel. And I believe that Israelis have a right to have their land. And I think the other side has a right to live in peace. That's all people want, is live in peace. But when you have these radicals, I don't see how there can be peace. And it's really, I found it very shocking and surprising to hear a rabbi on Instagram talking about the Messiah coming. And now you're going to have Hezbollah getting in on the action and Iran. And Biden is not strong enough, in my opinion, to stand up to Iran. They got, this money. Who do they think is funding these groups? And these tunnels underneath, if you go to the Israeli Defense Facebook page, you can see how these tunnels are built. It's going to be very hard to have a fight in these tunnels and keep these hostages safe. Excuse me. See my notes here. Can't read my own handwriting. And for now, that's what I have to say. But they're, beefing up security around synagogues, and they are telling people to be careful, even here in the United States. Oh, that's what I want to say. And when the rocket misfired, and they blamed Israel right away. Do you hear them backtracking? Do you hear anyone apologizing to Israel for spewing stuff without fact checking? This is not acceptable. And I saw, because I watched this guy from Israel, he said, you're going to see lies being told about this rocket that hit a hospital. That was Hamas firing a rocket. And Hamas does not care about killing their own people. They use humans for shields. Israel will tell the other side, they drop leaflets, get out. They don't want to hurt civilians. Hamas does not care. They will hurt civilians. They told people, stay. Israel tells them to leave. Hamas tells them to stay. They don't care about killing their own people. They really don't. And I hope people really educate themselves about what is going on. Because to me, it was very disturbing to see all these demonstrations and anti-Semitic demonstrations, because really that's what it is and what they're being taught on college campuses. God help us that these are our future leaders. And that's what I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Okay, now it's me. And I'm going to look at a little bit broader spectrum. According to world wars, there has to be 3 battles or wars going on at the same time at 3 different fronts. So we have the Ukraine and Russia, we have Hamas and Israel. And now we either have one between China and Singapore, or the United States and China. Think about that. We're also looking at the usage of nuclear weapons by Russia, by North Korea, and possibly China. Just a thought. Now, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That's what we have come to, ladies and gentlemen. We've been fighting for our civilization and our rights since before Christ. We were not treated nicely by the Romans, nor by the Greeks, nor anybody else. We were most popular to be voted out of most of the major European countries. I think the only European country that treated the Jews with any respect was Spain, when they were taken over by the Moors, and the Moors treated us with respect and as equals. But I think that was the last time. Think about that. What about the Americans who are living abroad in Israel? And we're not just talking about parents, we're talking about kids who are being sent to school over there because their parents believe it's a better life for them than living in the United States. Should we also think about human rights? Does anything come into that? Or civil rights? We're big on civil rights in this country, not so much in other countries. They don't seem to have much about rights for citizens in other countries. Do you really want to have a World War III? Is there another way that this conflict can be resolved? If I'm being true to myself, my true self would say, hell no, because the Jews will never again be taken lying down and not fighting back the way they were during Nazi Germany. Israel has the best army in the world, best fighters. Hamas knows that. That's the only reason why they were successful, was because they attacked civilians. And don't think they won't come knocking at your door. And don't think that Putin won't come knocking at your door either. And don't forget that we have white leaders in this country who revere Hitler and the Korean dictator and Putin. All this has to do with not so much greed, but control. Who's going to be on top of somebody else who they can order around and decide who is good and who is bad? If you take a look at the recent science fiction that has come out in the last 10 years, they're all about apocalypse and what the citizens had to do in order to bring the veneer of civilization back. And the backstory to all the science fiction is the same. World War, countries fighting countries, religions killing other people because they did not believe in what they ordered them to believe, lies, deceit, doublespeak. Science fiction is a reflection of our own political, economic, and scientific society and culture. Remember Frankenstein? You know why Frankenstein was written? Shelby was trying to tell you that men do not have the right to create human beings artificially. And yet that's exactly what we've done. It's like nobody's paying attention. Everybody thinks they have the answer. Everybody thinks they're right. And everybody else is wrong. Oh, one more thing. And as much as I hate saying this, it's true. Your grandchildren, great grandchildren, and all the way down the line, they are going to pay for the financial aid to both Ukraine and to Israel. The problem is how many times can Biden create money in order to pay for these wars? Lisa, Betsy, you folks want to add anything else?
I think the two of you did an exceptional job spelling everything out, and everything that you both said, I think, is very true. So, no, I really don't have anything to add.
Betsy?
I feel that there are terrorist groups already here. They've come over the open border. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yes.
When they are going to attack. And, Thanksgiving's around the corner. Macy's Day Parade. Don't want to give anyone ideas, but if you were a terrorist, what would you do? We have to all be cautious, very cautious. If you see something, report it. It's better to be safe than sorry. And I just, I remember the 1967 war, and I went around collecting money for Israel. And I was embarrassed because I was called up in front of the synagogue and given a bracelet. And I still have it over 50, was it almost, well, not quite 50 years ago, but it's really, my mom always said to us, Israel is a place we could go to if we get kicked out of the United States.
Yeah.
And, so that's the only place that Jews are safe, and really not safe there anymore. But we really, think, folks, no other country would ever tolerate rockets being fired. Do you think Putin would put up with that? North Korea would put up with that? I don't think so. Or China? Oh, no, they would not put up with that. And, if Hezbollah gets in on the action and Israel gets attacked from the north and the south, it's not going to be good. Also, think about the other Arab countries. They don't even want to admit these people in because they don't want Hamas. They don't want Hamas in their countries. And that's why they're not opening up their borders. And I have to say this, Lillian, Lisa, someone unfriended me because of our show we did, A Manifest Destiny. They were offended. Why that would offend them, I have no idea, but
it's too bad.
So be it.
Because I think the American Indians have it right. It isn't even your country. So you shouldn't be getting so upset because we're the ones who are the original owners, except that isn't true either, but we're not going to go down that line. However, I think that people hate more easily than they love or to like, because hate, you can put all your anger behind it and feel righteous about it. God is on our side. Well, I got a problem for you. The guy is schizophrenic and he has many personalities. And he's probably an LGBT God as it is, because different people view him as different people. So he may not be a male at all. He may be female. Yes, I know other people don't think that way, but I am a writer and I do. I want to thank Betsy Wurtzel and Lisa Skinner, and of course, I thank myself for being truthful to you of how we feel about Lest We Forget -historical. This is not an easy show. You collide with the elephant in the living room. You smash the mirror from the reflection that's looking back at you. I created this program to make you uncomfortable, to make you question, to make you to reason. That's what being a citizen of the world is all about. So my call to action is, let us hear your voices. You can contact me through email, pwrnetworkllc@gmail.com. Oh, incidentally, you can tell me you hate my guts. That's fine. My teenager, when he was a teen, hated me for 5 straight years. But guess what? I didn't lift his curfew. I still expected him to take a shower and wash his hair. Betsy, how can they contact you?
Thank you, everyone, for listening. And you know what? I have to say this. The person who unfriended me isn't even an American citizen. She lives over in Europe. So maybe she was offended.
I think so.
About something. And I'm just want to say, we have different views and we share them. And we'd like to hear your views. My email is Sloan, SLOAN, Betsy, BETSY 31 @gmail.com. And thanks for listening.
Lisa?
Hi, everybody. You can reach me at dementia whisperer and the number 1 @gmail.com. I want to personally thank everybody again for tuning in and listening to another episode of Lest We Forget Historical, and we will continue to bring you the truth of the current state of affairs and historical state of affairs and atrocities that have happened throughout history, because we believe very strongly in Lest We Forget. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you all for listening. You can tune us in at https://passionateworldtalkradio.com, youtube.com/PWR Network, _PW Talk Radio, linkedin.com/Lillian Caldwell, facebook.com/Lest We Forget, or facebook.com/Passionate World Talk Radio. So thank you all very much for listening. And remember, stay tuned for next Friday, because you never know what we consider an atrocity or historical.